Okay, welcome everyone to day 4 of LibreFest 2024. Today, we're going to continue the conversation around the construction of textbooks. Yesterday, we discussed remixing, and today we're going to be talking about editing, which is the other skill that you need in order to be able to build a book. And our first discussion is going to be led by Josh Halpern, who knows everything about editing of books on our site because he's been doing it for a decade plus with us, I think close to a decade. He probably is not going to say any exciting jokes out there, although I could be incorrect. And with that, I will hand this off to Josh. So feel free to take the screen.
So everybody knows that you have 10 minutes to get to class. And that's kind of where most people are. And then you move into the real world and everything is strict time and you're always late. So let's start there. Let me take the screen for a minute. And so I was thinking about doing this, and the question became how to do it. And the place to start is with the construction guide. So not all the questions you might have are in the construction guide, and we're moving the construction guide basically into the support center, but there are thousands of things to do. And what we're going to cover now is what we call basic editing. And I think Delmar will come in later and deal with interactive editing, interactive elements, and so forth. So let's look at what the basic editing functions are. So the first one is logging in, and we all kind of did that yesterday and the day before and the day before that. Then there's just editing the page, adding images and figures, videos, tables, hyperlinking. These are all very common things that we do in LMSs, and also LibreTexts. If you do Pressbooks, you do them too. Boxes, predefined template codes, accessibility checking, at least on a low level, selecting the copyright, auditing, adding author bars. Actually, question we get a lot of times is, I've done some edit here. How can I label this that I've done some editing? Page titles, again, this is a place where people get lost. It's a little bit technical, but it's strictly alphabetical. Adding a summary and rating. So we're going to go through all of these. Editing the page. Okay. So how do you edit a page? Well, here's a page. And one of the things we get quite a bit, I don't want to log in. Go back. One of the things we hear quite a bit is, I can't edit my page. I can't edit my book. Unless this gray bar is black, you can't edit. So the first thing is signing into the page. Just sign in, you go through the local web. Now, once we get logged in here, this is something I brought in last night. Once you get in here, page may look like this. There's a lot of meta information that you need to provide, or there's some. One is you need to tell the system what the type of the page is. And very often we get people saying, my chapter has no headings, or my book has lost the chapters, or things like that. That's because this is set incorrectly. Okay. So, for example, let's go back to the book. If for some reason this were set to section or page, There's nothing there. What happened? Well, it's there, and you can see it's there. By the way, Del Mar and some people like Del Mar, like this contents. I'm kind of locked onto this contents here. So I can see that if I'm in a situation like this, I can see that it's all there, but it's not showing up. And the question is, why isn't it showing up? And it's not showing up because the article type was set incorrectly. Okay. Now, other times people say, I've lost my table of contents. Well, let's see why. See this little bit of code here? That's the thing that generates the table of contents. So, for example, if I save this way, there's no table of contents. Where did it go? Well, it lost the template. So if I put the template back, takes a second or so, it's back. The same thing is true if I look for a chapter. Let's say here's the chapter. If this is set incorrectly, you can go strange places. Now, if you're in a chapter, there are two displays for how chapters are displayed. Chapter indices are displayed. The tabbed one is more designed for systems other than books. It's called we call it a topic hierarchy. You can notice here you can actually add another tab there. I'm not going to do that, but there you go. Comes back. Okay, so that's the place you start looking if you've lost pages or chapters or whatever. There, right there. Okay. Author, we'll get back to that later. Is the hypothesis still embeddable? No, okay, take that out. The first page, go back to the book. Taking a little while here. Okay. The first page of a book has to have the cover page set. Now that's so that when we compile it, when we publish it, the cover page is built in. It's something we'll take care of if you don't, but the cover page should only be set on the title page of the book. You can set a license. Let's say we choose this license. You can propagate that license to every subpage of a chapter or a book, but that means that licenses that were set on transcluded pages that you bring in may be reset. So that's a little bit dangerous. And we want to set the version of the license. Bit of housekeeping we should keep up with. This should be next to this. I'll show you what the table of contents is when we get a little further down. Transcluded should be set automatically depending on whether you transcluded the page or forked it or created it, but sometimes you do have to set this by hand. Okay. Many of the books in LibreTexts come from different publishers, OpenStax, Galileo, so forth. CK12 has a special license, so you have to be a little careful about it. Del Mar explained yesterday a little bit about the publisher who must not be named, but suffice it to say that the books from that collection are a cornerstone of OER, both brought up to date and published as they remixed as they were. These books come from about 2010, so they can be a little out of date. You can affect the PDFs, whether they have headers or footers, titles, and so forth. Okay. Let me explain something about source. Source has three meanings. The first meaning is the person who's responsible for the curation and maintenance of the page. The second reason is to link back to some place where the page came from. Let me go on here. Let me go to a page. Okay, so I need to put a source here. I put a source here. It came from a website maintained by the Glenn Research Center. And this is a link back if somebody wants to see whether if there's something more or why things were done, or perhaps there's even a mistake here. We also have there. It's on the page. Okay. So got that. Oh, sorry. I got it wrong. Author. So if I use the author tag, that's the one. Then at the bottom of the page, it'll tell me who's responsible for maintaining this page. Now, if I edit the page, another way of claiming credit is to say contributions from, and maybe I will take that to a heading. We'll talk about headings in a minute. So when I save this, anybody reading this page will see that I made a contribution. So that's for the public. I leave it to Delmar to deal with this author. This is now in this author bar. It's now in a state of flux. For transcluded materials, we regard it as labeling the author of the original source. Do you want to say something about that, Delmar? About where we're going with the author bar?
No. I just want to start the editing process, the discussion, but yes.
Okay. So this is actually part of the editing discussion. So we have our page here, and I'm going to go to a slightly different example. Let's look at this page here. And if we edit it, we now get this bar, which controls the editing for us. The first thing I'm going to show you, though, is the accessibility checker. and we'll do that. So there are 5 warnings here. The first warning says that you have a figure here that doesn't have alternative text. Sometimes the quick fix works. Let's take a quick look. So I can right-click on the image and go to the image properties. Takes a minute. I can put in some alt text. So we can save the image. Okay, come down here. Okay. Well, we took care of that. We have a table here sometimes. Okay, we have a table here somewhere. Oh, these things are being treated as tables, not as. So, okay. So we got through that. We can. That's what happened. Okay. There we go. What happened is somebody copied this just by grabbing it and bringing it on the clipboard and bringing it over. Okay. Go. And we have. So it's again same thing. These aren't perfect, but they're start. Okay. So we've got that. Now, so we've got that. Let's say we wanted to say what the objective of studying this radioactive decay chapter does. We can go to boxes. These are templates. You can have a definition, something that creates emphasis. An example. An example is something where the answer is open. It's part of the example. You see it. An exercise is a problem where you have a statement of the problem and you have I'll show you. Okay. You have a statement of the problem and then you have the answer here. Well, what the student sees looks like this. And if the student presses on answer, the answer will be displayed. Okay. So let's go back and hit it again and look at some of these. If you have an interactive element, such as a inspect simulation or something like that, you can use this one. This is just a note. Here are our objectives. Right. Objective 1. LibreText. And objective 2 is to get credit. So you can, by the way, this little thing pops up now and again on different sections. You can use this to insert an extra line. You can also do the same thing in the HTML. Everybody here speak HTML? Nobody will run shrieking out of the room? This is the coding for the objective box. Okay. That getting my feet. Are there questions at this point?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the boxes tool is placing a formatted box inserted where the cursor was.
Yes.
And
I seem to have, just give me a moment, please. That's not it. Yeah, let's. I seem to have lost my. Oh, come on.
and when you select let's say like the definition option in boxes, it's going to give you a formatted box with the word definition in the upper left-hand corner.
That's correct.
So it's basically a fancy one cell table.
It has some meaning.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. It has some meaning for screen readers.
Okay.
So it's more than just a simple table. And one of the things that people want to do that messes things up is they want to change colors of the boxes. And that changes the context for the screen readers. So just kind of accept the fact that we're all not color designers and work with the colors that you have. Let's get back in. Continue editing. So yeah, it just inserts that box. Let's take a look at the different boxes. Okay, so starting from the bottom, this box has a special meaning to a screen reader. Be cautious when you use it. Theorem. I'll put the theorem in there. So, and it's not forbidden to say, make a change like that, change theorem to a lemma, and so forth. Let's see. Notes, very boring. Obviously, you can write over this. I showed you the example. There's the exercise and emphasis. Sorry. Example. Yes, good.
I have a question. Can you move the blocks can you rearrange the blocks
You can copy paste.
in different places, so I cannot move them themselves? Okay.
Oh, yeah, you can move them.
Okay, no drag and drop. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And you can do all that. You can do all that. Let me get rid of some of these guys. You can, this symbol here, if you have an adapt question, you can insert an adapt question here. I think we went over this.
But I intend on going over this on my side. Just the basic
Okay.
editing is useful here.
Okay. So obviously, you can insert a table, just as you do in Word or anything else. The table has certain properties. You should always make the first row a heading, and you should make the table responsive. Making the table responsive if it's not responsive, it doesn't spread across the entire page. It's better to make it responsive so it does. Okay. There's that. Indenting, alignment, that's all familiar. You can insert a numbered list. So let's just three. So if I want to number this list, that's pretty familiar. What may not be familiar is, let's say you don't want 1, 2, 3, but you want A, B, C. So click anywhere in the list, and then on the properties, and then how you would like it. That's pretty straightforward. If you bring in something that has very complicated, well, if you cut and paste something from Microsoft Word, there's a lot of junk HTML in there. Let's see if I have, if you cut and paste it in, and you can clean it up by removing those formats. Colors are obvious. Underline, italic, broad. Headings. Headings are important. Let me show you why. Let's say I had 3 headings here. I'll do some headings. Okay, so here's the gate processes. Notice there's no heading 1. Heading 1 by default is the title. So the highest level of heading we can have here is heading 2. And then we'll have and I have to let's put this here, make this heading 2, and then some things here. So I'm going to make this heading 3, this heading 3, and that's heading 2. Okay, now let me save this. Let's come over here, and where it says Show Table of Contents. If I click on this and I say yes, notice that there's now a table of contents. If I display it, it shows that I have the first learning objectives on the top, decay processes. Let's say I wanted to learn about gamma decay. Click on that. It takes me to there. This is one of the table of contents, I think, is one of those things that depends on the book. Your mileage may vary and style. Now, having done that, let me say that there are 2 reserved headings that you stay away from. You shouldn't need to go more than 3 levels plus the title level. The box legends are heading level 5, and you can have interbox headings there, and you can have just normal text. You can turn this back to normal text. So let me come back here. See what we've covered. Logging in, editing your page. We haven't done adding the images or videos, and we just touched on adding the tables. So let's go back here. And let's say I wanted to add an image here. To do that, we would add a template. If we want to add just a simple template, we add a figure with an image in the center and the title center in the center. Or you can add a figure with the image in the center and right justified, and you can add multiple images in one level. So let's add a figure center. I assume Delmar will cover some more of these. So now I'm just going to grab this image and bring it up here. Why did I do that? Okay. You see this little bit of code here. This is a key to how you can okay, so I always prefer to find these left. Okay. Now this says page index 1. And the second figure here says page index 2. Okay. What happens when I save this? The number of the page, and this is the reason we strongly encourage you to use this numbering for pages, is written out here. So if I transcluded this page into another book and it was chapter 10.3 or 10.2 or 10.1, it would be, the code would make this 10.2.1. So if you've ever done something like this in HTML and you made any change at all in the number, you added a figure, you took a figure away, it's just crazy making. This feature takes care of it for you. You can number tables, you can number videos, you can number just about anything. The sad news, and we haven't figured out a way to get around this, is you have to change this number. This is the first one here. And this is the second one here. You have to change this number by yourself. So if I added another figure here, I would have to change this to 3. And if I renumber within a page, it gets messy. Okay. Does everybody understand about anchors?
Go
I
ahead
don't
and
hear.
explain. You can explain.
Okay. So if you need to jump from one place in the text to another, you can use anchors. Okay. And you can see. Let's say I wanted to place an anchor here. So I can link to this anchor both internally and externally. You can place anchors. Okay. Where do images come from? Well, Pinterest. We have a whole list of images, I think, places where you can get images. But there are a whole lot of places out there where you can get images. Delmar has a list. I'll leave it to him.
It's added.
If this seems disjointed, my computer overheated yesterday. I was almost not here. Okay. I apologize. Okay. So we add images. How about adding a video? Well, let's come up here, edit it. We want to add a video here. It's element video. We can add a YouTube video. Let's go. Okay. Here's one with a lot of views. Let's go there.
As I'm in the midst of presidency.
Let's share it. Let's go here. So YouTube videos are trivial. Other videos, you have to okay. In like Vimeo, they provide you the code. It's something called iframing. We're going to add it here. We have to embed it. Here's the source. You can say, sometimes you may want to erase the allow full screen. You certainly probably want to get rid of autoplay. And there's the video. You can change the size. Let's see. So here it was 640 by 480. You could make this 800 by 480. It's a little wider. The YouTube videos, you can resize. My practice has been to pull it down to the little play button and leave it like that. And when I save it, it does center. Okay, at least the YouTube. Okay, so what else do we have here? Adding tables. I don't think I have to tell anybody about hyperlinking. You can. Insert your hyperlink. It tries to link back to where it came. Oh, by the way, if you're linking within, if you're working within a page or a book and you're trying to link to a section there, you can just jump to the anchor or the, so every figure, let me come over here, this is a little easier. Okay, let's say we wanted to link to this figure. So we can link to any of the figures, any of the sections. We can link to any anchors that we place. Okay. If we go, say, to another page, and we want to link to that, we can go back there. Okay. To tell you the truth, I'm not so sure. Did that. We did that yesterday. Oh, titles, that's the other thing I have. Every page has a title. The title has two parts. One's the human part. That's the one you're looking at. That's a heading H1. That's heading level 1. The computer don't care. There's another title, and that title is the URL of the page. So for some reason you want to change this. You haven't changed the URL. You have to change that. You see that's changed up here. So now I'm going to put this back. sometimes, no, that's still, not having good luck. Okay. The reason there's a 0 here and not a 0 there is you're a human and you know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 goes in order. The computer says, wait a second, alphanumerically 3.2 comes after 3.10 because the 10, and that messes up this. So what you'll see sometimes when you look at the contents, if it's done wrong, you'll see 3.1 and then 3.10, 3.12, 3.11, 3.12, all the way down to 3.20, and then you'll see 3.2. So this will flip down to the bottom. You can use the remixer to take care of that, or you can insert zeros by hand. I think ready for questions? Are there any? Have I confused everyone?
Going back to the boxes, can we
Yes.
have the emphasis box without title? It means just the text is colored.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
The emphasis box is one that doesn't have a label, and just basically has a gray hue around it.
Okay.
What's the quickest way and the most effective way to put in images? So like I understand uploading the files, but you have them in these lovely little gray boxes, and that's definitely not something that we've been doing. And I must have missed it. I know I watched you put the gray box and I didn't see where you pulled the box from.
Let me find an image from somewhere.
Because we've just been uploading the files and then putting the text underneath
No,
it,
you
the
shouldn't
caption.
do that.
I know. And so I saw you do it and I was like, oh no, we've been doing it wrong.
Well, I don't know the wrong is what I would call it.
What was the feature that you went to get the gray box so I can make sure that in the future we do that?
Okay, so to get the figure box,
okay,
you go to Elements, Templates.
We weren't going to templates. That's the problem.
And mostly you're just adding figure center. Now I've got an image here. I just pulled out, and I can bring this over there. It will copy it. And at this point, what I need to do is insert the
alt text.
But
you can click and drag, copy and paste. So I don't have to download, like, so say I'm downloading a file from the Creative Commons to my computer and then uploading it as a file. If I use the template, I could click and drag it in.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.
Okay. And then you want the figure page and everything like that.
And that I was on top of. I didn't know how to get there, that path on how you got to it. So
I mean,
it was elements, templates, figure, insert figure.
Yeah. For example, also, let's do this again. Do this one. Okay. So if I want to display two figures, right?
Nice.
I can just go to Control, let's copy. Copy. Okay. Now,
and that's not
let's
putting
say
it in your cookies on your browser. That's actually it's actually uploading it as a file.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Then there's a problem. Just hang on. So a lot of times you don't have enough room across here for 4 figures. So you can just take it away. Now I'm going to pick this up again. Let me get another figure. Yeah, it's in here. And you can manipulate the size of these just by going on image properties. Right now I've left it on responsive, so it'll scale with the sheet. The problem is This came in and was copied in. So that's fine. But sometimes, and let's see, will I find that? I'm taking this now from another source. Here. The image. Yeah, let me just for argument's sake, go Control V. And now I want to look at this image properties. And you see the image isn't from us anymore. These are ones that I brought in, but I copied in. So that's our API. That's on LibreTexts. But
And
what
you
I've
just
done
pasted
here,
that. You
excuse me?
just pasted that in the element box. Anywhere in the element box, you just pasted it.
Well, I brought it in from my computer, so it came in
You
as
copied. Yeah, you copied
copied
it.
it.
Yeah, and then you just put your cursor actively in the element box that had the other two.
Oh. If I put my cursor in the element box and click on it, a menu comes up, and I can ask what the image properties are. And I can see that. And I can change the size. So forth.
But when you pasted it,
Yeah.
all you did, you first copied it from the other source, and then you go back into the editing page, and then you put your active cursor somewhere in the element box, and then you pasted it. Is that the way you did it?
There are a couple of ways I can do it.
Okay.
That's one way. So I can copy this, put it in the element box, and paste it. Okay? That's the way you described. I can also just simply grab it and drop it. When I do that, I have to get rid of this. Okay? Martin, is that okay?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So there are a couple of ways to do it, is the thing.
And the only difference is like if I click the little image icon in that blue tab at the top there, it doesn't give you that gray template. It's just, but it allows you to put upload it as a file, which is what we were doing. And that's not the best way to do it, but it is allowed.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not like against the rules.
We're very permissive.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The important point, though, is this is the way I brought this in from OpenStax. It's hot linked. It's not copied. So if OpenStax changes something, it will suffer link rot. It will disappear. Okay. We have a process. One of the things we do when we bring it in from Wikipedia, one of the things we do when we publish a book is we fix all the hot links. We turn them into basically our links on our system. So one of the problems, of course, is we have books that date back to 2008, and we were not always so smart. So there are still hot linked images that have disappeared. Less and less as time goes on. Delmar looks very in trouble. But it is an important image, an important issue. The advantage of bringing it in as a hot link, bringing it in, is it brought in the alt text. If I had come over here, you can't see this right now. let me come over here. And I'm going to, one of my favorites is so what I'm going to do, let's not ask how I'm going to do it. I just made a copy of an image using the snipping tool. And I'm going to save it. So when I bring it in, when I bring something in with the snipping tool, or I bring something off my desktop, I can't be sure that the alt text has gone with it. If it's an actual copy, very often it doesn't carry the alt text with it, and I'll have to recreate the alt text. Okay. More discussion? We're almost ready for Frank. Is he there?
He is here. Should I jump in here in a second for a second?
Sure.
Great. Okay, so this should be daunting to you guys. I just want to put a little bit of a context here. Everyone here is familiar with wikis because that's gotten popular in the last couple of decades, but it's important in order to emphasize why wikis have gotten popular. Wiki is the Hawaiian term for fast. And the argument behind a wiki is that you take something that you can do in a variety of different ways. When you code up a page on a website, any website, you can do lots and lots of complexities. In order to be able to do that and master that, it may require one or multiple courses in order to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript. If those terms don't mean much to you, don't worry about it. The key point is that you can really do a lot. Wikis come in and they say, let's take all this complexity, throw away much of it, and say, this is the standard set of things that you can do in a standard way, period. And don't worry about the other stuff with a graphical user interface off of that. So that's why wikis, as wiki, if you've ever been to Honolulu, they have the wiki bus, which is the fast bus to get in town. It's the fast way in order to be able to generate something and spit it out there by removing flexibility. That being said, there's only a limit of how much we can remove out there before you actually lose the flexibility that you want to be able to do things. So we added a little bit onto it, and that could be a little bit daunting when you first get exposed to it. We'll go over that again during lunch, and then obviously the breakout room is where you start getting going, you start digging and things like that. So I just wanted to put a context behind Josh's nice presentation that was here.